Thank you all for coming. Since you all know, today we're presenting the preliminary results of the research project at Cervecería de Colima. We want to welcome you all. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here, even though you have to. The order of the presentation will be as follows. First, Fatma, then Zineb, then Licenciada Yunuen, Maestro Ricardo, then Claudia, and then we will have all the students. All the students will have 5 minutes. The presenters will have 5 minutes to present. So we hope that it's going to be a really short presentation, but a very informative one. The results are about 2 different projects, but both very related. The first one is Zineb and Fatma. They were at the brewery plant doing some work about the optimization project. So they will present a little bit about what is optimization and possible impact and resources if they implement their solutions. And the second project that is happening at the same time is about sustainable practices. Right now we are doing the customers' perception, and then we will be doing workers' perceptions, and finally CEOs. So thank you all, and we're going to start.
Hello everyone, welcome to our final presentation about research results in the Cerveceria of Colima. Our presentation is divided into 3 parts. The first part is about a brief introduction to optimization, definition and the process. We will talk about optimization. The term optimize is defined as make it perfect. So that's why optimization is defined as the act of obtaining the best results under given constraints and taking into account all factors that influence decision in any experiment. To do so, there are a lot of mathematical approach. So as an example, we have linear programming. It's used to solve linear objective function subject to linear constraints. And non-linear programming is used to solve non-linear system and constraints. And integer programming is used to restrict the decision variable into integer. And the last one, dynamic programming, is used to solve all the optimization problem, the complex optimization problems, and breaking it into simple tree. We pass to the second part, time and cost optimization. So we have been in the Cerveceria of Colima for a month and a half, and we working in the production service, and we've been observing all the production process. So in the Cerveceria of Colima, they're producing 4 principal products, and here we can discuss distinguish between 2 types, principal type, lager and aloe. And as an example, for lager we find Colimita and Cairo, and for ale we find Paramo and Tecos. And to understand more the processes, we start by the brewing. Here in this step, we start by mixing all the ingredients to prepare the malt. And in the fermentation, we put the yeast that feeds on the sugar of the malt to produce carbon dioxide and alcohol, as we call the biogas. Then, in this state, the temperature is lowered for the yeast to sediment and define the flavors. And then we perform a filtration process in order to give the shiny appearance to our products. And then we adjust the carburation, and we leave it we leave our products ready to bottle. Here we will talk about our problematic. So we have time and cost are two important factors in any production, in any construction project. And since our first day in the Cerveceria of Colima, we've been observing the whole process, the whole production process. So, for the discussion with a person in charge of the production, we've been observing, and we knew that there are some activities who takes time, and we know all that every company wants to increase its profit. So that means that gain more time. The time will be decreasing. As a result, also the cost will be increased. So that's why we've been thinking about optimization, time and cost optimization. So to do this, we'll be working on working in the critical activities and minimizing its duration in order to find the optimum project duration corresponding to the minimum total cost of this.
In order to identify activities that are critical in terms of duration and that can affect the whole process of production beer, we've been using a critical path method, and this is the diagram. It's a method used to identify all activities used in the production process and based on duration. As you can see here, we have two paths. The path number 1 relates to lager, and number 2 relates to alley. And here, if you can see the reference, we have like in order to have a critical path, it needs to have 0 total flows and 0 free float, which means it doesn't need to be an activity that affects the next activity. So using this diagram, we calculate the total duration of each path. So we have for the first path like 34 days and the second path 22 days, which means the first one is the most critical because it takes more time. So it's related to lager, and in lager we produce Kayako and Colimita, but in the other hand we produce double of Colimita. In this case we decide to work on critical products, which is Colimita. In order to have more information about this product that is critical product, so we worked on 2 parts, which are 2 factors, as Fatma says, time and cost. So we need to have normal time to produce Colimita, then to crash it. To crash time means to minimize it as much as possible. And once we minimize it, we need to have that cost related to that crash time. On the other hand, we need to calculate total cost. And total cost is direct cost and indirect cost. When we talk about direct cost, it's about ingredients, labor force, energy, and others that can be maybe cleaning, service, etc. And for indirect cost, in our case, is maintenance and health insurance. Now we have all data that we need, but how can we crash our activities? So we've been talking with the person in charge of the production service, and he told us that if we want to crash activities, we need to buy more machines. So we need to invest, and this investment will cost almost 2 million Mexican pesos in order to crash 3 activities that are fermentation by 2 days, maturation by 5 days, and carbonation and filtration will be 1 activity in one day, and it will be decreased by 2 days. In the other part, we have the information that in 1 month we produce 5 lots of Colimita. And if we want to amortization,
of that material on 10 years, we will have more, additional cost about 1,000 Mexican pesos per activity crashed. In this case, we've been studying time-cost relationship and calculating normal duration with cost duration and cost duration with crash cost. So for brewing, it's the same. I mean, it's not crashed. But for fermentation, it's crashed from 14 to 12, and for fermentation from 15 to 10, and for these two activities from 3 days to 1 day, and for bottling it's still the same. And as a total project cost, we remark that is increased. But we want to crash our project, and the goal is to minimize it, to minimize total cost projects. I mean, to have the optimal solution, optimal combination between time and cost. So we studied different project duration, and here we have the graph. As we told you, we have total cost is the indirect cost and direct cost. And as you can see here, if we increase time, indirect cost decrease. But if we decrease time, direct cost increase. And according to that graph, we have the minimum total cost. In this case, which we can consider as optimal, is about that amount. In the other hand, and to do it as engineers, we used a solver on Excel, and we've been working on non-linear programming, because here we have objective function that is minimizing cost, and the other hand, constraints are time, and this is non-linear. So we want to have that trade-off, I mean the best combination of these two. Using that solver, and the constraint was duration of activities, of course, we had a lot of opportunities, and this is opportunities that we have. I mean, for brewing and bottling, it's the same, but for filtration and carbonation, it can be 1, 2, or 3, and for fermentation and maturation, it can be from 12 to 15, and for maturation, it's from 10 to 15. And the result was to have that optimal, I mean the minimum cost, and at the same time minimize time. We will minimize it to 27 days. But how? Which activities shall we increase time and others no? Using that solver, it gives us this result. We don't need to crash, of course, brewing and bottling, and also carbonation and filtration. But for fermentation, we need to crash it by 2 days. And for maturation, we need to crash it by 5 days. In this case, we will have as optimal total cost like 96,000 Mexican pesos versus the normal cost that we already seen. And as a conclusion, we can conclude that if you want to invest, and if we want to reduce time, and at the same time minimize costs and produce more, and of course gain more, we need to buy more materials for fermentation and carbonate and maturation.
Okay, now we're gonna have the part 3. It's a little more about market research, a little bit about the company, why sustainable practices done by small business, why is it important? Well, first of all, sustainable companies have three major areas. They focus on the environment, on the economy, and the society. Companies, they need to satisfy the well-being of its employees in order to be sustainable. They also worry about quality of its products, the origin of its inputs, and the environment impact of its activities without neglecting the effect that they cause their products and waste. Now, lately, in recent years, there's been several studies that customers right now prefer to acquire products that meet the condition of the environmental sustainability. So any company, if it's small or big, especially if it's small, has more potential to grow because they're already starting with sustainable sources. Now, Cervecería de Colima. Why Cervecería de Colima? It's in the section of a small business that does sustainability because it focuses on all these areas. They commit to their employees. Everything they do, by selecting their employees, they have to focus themselves on something sustainable. How they see the way they see things, their perspective is the way they hire them in order to continue. Because their mind, in order for them to grow, the employees are essential for them. The limit impact on the environment. That is something that Cervecería de Colima has focused a lot. For example, they have a focus that in here to 2021, they will have this program of sustainability. Okay, where they're trying to reforest all the carbon dioxide that the machines made from the beer. They try to make that kind of compensate to plant some more trees in some certain areas. Why? Because they always think that Colima is a place to be green and to keep it that way. And in order to keep that way, they need to focus themselves on how can they help the environment when at the same time the environment is helping them. To reuse the water. They try to reuse the water basically that for the plants and usually culture, environmental, for pets. Usually every Tuesday, all the funds that they collect from right there, they're giving to a society in order to help them, to help the environment. So basically, Cervecería de Colima worries so much about their sustainable part, about the society, about the environment, and about its own people. Since they started till now, that has been the focus. So small businesses that start with sustainable practices tend to go high, tend to grow, because people actually like to know that their products is actually environmental free, especially with everything that is happening in today's. For people, it's better to purchase stuff that they know it has a background like this.
Thank you very much. So for the market research, we know that every market research needs to know how many surveys need to be undertaken. And in order to determine the size of the sample, we decided to go with two different approaches. The first one is an approach based on the statistic methods. And for this one, we decided to look for the population in Colima who drink artisanal beer or crafted beer. Since this kind of information, we couldn't have access to that because we don't have updated research that let us know how many people in Colima actually drink the artisanal products. So we decided to go with a little bit of a different approach, which is with an unknown population. So the unknown population will give us this specific formula, and with this formula we used the 95% of confidence level, which we can see, well, we have the 5% of the error part. So with this information, we came down to a sample determination of 38.4, which means we need actually very few surveys in order for us to get them as the representation of the total population of drinking, of the crafted drinking beer of Colima. So we decided to compare this method to another approach, which is the non-statistical way. And for this non-statistical way, we had to get access to information from the people from the Cervecería de Colima, right, who told us how many people they regularly serve per day. So with this information, we found out the different number of people that go throughout the week. And with this, we decided to take a 10% sample from each of the days to come up with a grand total of only 37 surveys, which, as we can see, the non-statistical approach and the statistical approach gave pretty much the same result. So we had 38.4 in the first one, and we had 37 on the second one. So that way we can make sure that we can trust that the number of surveys that we are taken is actually larger than the needed.
So the students, both Fatma and Zineb, have been going for over 2 weeks now to the brewery, to Jardín El Trapiche, to do the surveys. So they have been going for 4 weeks. Each time that they have been going, there are an average of 10 surveys done. So as of now, we have already 41 respondents. That means that by the approach explained by Maestro Ricardo, we should be done with the surveys at the Cervecería de Colima. So since we already have some of those results, we wanted to present them to you, but they are very, very descriptive. We haven't done any other analytical analysis. The first question is how many, since we started these projects on Martes de Causa, we wanted to know if they were going to Martes de Causa because it was Martes de Causa, or if they were going to Cervecería de Colima because they like to go. So the very first question is hoy la primera vez que acude al restaurante Jardín Trapiche la Cervecería de Colima? So basically we were asking them if it was the first time that they will go, they were visiting the restaurant, and as you can see, 38.1% say yes. So every Tuesday you have a lot of new people attending the restaurant. That's really, really good for businesses. But also you have a large group of people that like to go every Tuesday to support. The second question that we asked them, it was basically for those who have been going to Cervecería La Colima in the past. So we wanted to know how frequent they were visiting the brewery. And so taking into account the last 3 months, what is the day that you regularly go or visit or like to come to Jardín Trapiche de la Cervecería Colima? Remember that most of the surveys we did it on a Tuesday, so we have a large amount of that, 38.5%. But if you see this, a lot of people that you have there, it goes on Friday. So Friday should be your busiest day according to the survey's results. Also, the third results, it says they also like to go on Saturdays. We don't have a lot of answers for Wednesdays and Thursdays, but this week and the following week, our students are going those days to see if these results will change a little. This one is really, really interesting. In case that you would like to know how often, what is your customer looks like, they look really, really young. As you can see, 81% of your customers said that they were from 20 to 35 years old. The second largest answer is from 36 to 50 years. That's almost the 12%. And finally, the very last one is with 7.1% older than 51 but younger than 66. So this says two things. We haven't surveyed, I don't know if you don't have, but we haven't surveyed people that is 19 years older, 19 years or less, or older than 65 years. But this actually says quite a lot about your customer base. Also, one of the things that is really, really interesting, your customers are highly educated. So we think that's really, really important when taking into account sustainability beliefs and also if they consider themselves as green consumers. 81% of the people surveyed, they have a bachelor's degree. A lot of those have a master's and even PhD. I don't know who were. I don't know who were. No, I didn't. These are more related to the research market. The Maestro Ricardo and Licenciada Yunuen explained it, and this is really interesting because what Licenciada Yunuen explained about the theory that says that highly educated people tend to go more with sustainable issues, we can see is the question number 10. It says, si tengo varias marcas de cerveza disponibles, selecciono la que maneje las prácticas de sostenibilidad. So you can say number 1 means never, and number 5 is always. As you can see, the customers that you have really care about the environment. Next question is if they are willing to pay more for a beer that actually expresses that they take care about sustainable issues, and very little of them say never, and we have a high percentage of people that say always, 42.9%, almost 43%. And this is our team and our experiences, and we're gonna turn off the presentation and we're gonna invite them to the front and they're gonna explain a little bit about their experience.
So good afternoon. We are the team that did the market research. I'm Samantha.
Ricardo.
Paola.
Jonathan. Fatma.
And Zineb.
So we went to Cervecería de Colima on Tuesdays, and we went about 4 weeks. We went all the Tuesdays because it was on Tuesdays they do this thing that's called Martes de Causa. So we wanted to know like more about the people that go there with the questionnaire. And first of all, the questions were already organized and in Google Forms, so it was like really easy to apply it. And the dynamic was simple. We just the waiter went to us and said when a person asked for the bill, so then we arrived with the person and we asked them if they had time to answer a survey. We told them what was the survey about and what was like our main problem, and then if the person accepted to answer the survey, we asked them the question, and after we wait like for the answer, and then we put it right away on our cell phone. But we start to have problems because the people was not really following the survey because they didn't have it like in a physical form, so it was difficult for them. They were like, can you repeat the question, or I didn't understand. And so we decided to change the dynamic, and what we did was to print the survey and put it in a plastified form, and we gave them a marker. So what they did was to answer it directly, and then after that, like with no pressure, we put the answers on our cell phone, and that made us like to have more answers and to have like more interaction with the people. So they were some days we went like different days, and we find some differences.
For example, we went on Friday and on Martes too, but when we went on Friday, there was a lot of people that could apply our survey, but in other parts, when we went Martes, the people are more conscious about Martes de Causas, and there is the difference.
So, personally, I found that the majority of people responding by they assist for Martes de Causas colectivas, and that means that they are so interesting and aware and conscious about the importance of the sustainability in the Cerveceria of Colima, and they respond and they directly when we say them that we are students from the Faculty of Economia in the Colima, and we are doing some surveys about the sustainability in the Cerveceria of Colima, they respond us positively and they interact with us, and that's what I appreciate a lot.
So we think that there is a lot of people that is changing their mind into a green mind, that are actually taking care about the earth, and they prefer either better products that are more sustainable. So that's very interesting for us, and we see that, well, for us to make this survey is very good because actually as international business men and women, we have to know, well, students, we have to know how to make a good survey in order to have good information, how to gather it and analyze it, so we can make a better report. And in my personal opinion, it's very good because it gives me a lot of patience and to people that doesn't get the information right, and that's good.
So for the next 2 weeks, we decide to do the same dynamic for the surveys. We're gonna keep on using the classified surveys because it's easier for us and for the customer, for the clients, to answer it. Like we said, Colima Cerveceria is an environmental place, so it's better for us because we don't have to take a lot of copies of the surveys, so it's easier and we earn ourselves money and paper, and it's better like this way using classified surveys.
If students were to ever do the same dynamic, I think we can all agree that there's a lot of different type of people that you're going to be dealing with. So you have to be very open and try to be as less nervous as possible, be very fluent, be very friendly because you're the one that's doing the survey. So you have to be like a very positive mind and have in mind that there are going to be people that might say no, and you have to say, okay, thank you, like there's no problem. So I think we can all agree on that, and that there's a lot of different type of people that you're going to be dealing with, and you have to be respectful towards all of them.
The Faculty of Economics award this certificate to Fatma for presenting the preliminary research results of Cervecería Colima as a part of the project La práctica de sostenibilidad de la Cervecería Colima y la percepción de la misma en los trabajadores y clientes de la empresa 2017, which took place Thursday, 21st of September 2017 at the Faculty of Economics of the City of Villa de Álvarez, Colima. Maestra Oriana Zaret Gaitán Gómez, directora.